Hi, this is Roger, thanks for dropping by. No, it doesn't look like a repot yet, but it will do. I am going to do a repotting video, but I was just messing about on the computer looking at stuff to do with my channel, and I came across a screen I hadn't seen before. Oh, it's the heater just come on, I'll leave it for now. And it's a screen that your statistics basically analyse all sorts of stuff, and the default is for 28 days. You can adjust that. You can do this week, you can do lifetime, forever, if the boxes are big enough for the numbers. Anyway, this is a particular analytic that analyses the device type that people are watching and other bits to go with it. And it pulled up a really interesting figure that I wouldn't have thought was true, but if YouTube says it's true, it must be true. So they say. Now, it's reasonably obvious to me that most people are watching YouTube on a mobile phone because it's in their pocket. You know, stood waiting for a bus for 5 minutes, oh, let's watch a YouTube video. Think about that. Yeah. Sat on a train going to work, let's watch some YouTube videos, maybe. Anyway, the analytics analyse mobile phones, computers, TVs and tablets. Those are the four figures that you get. Now, dropping down, almost as expected, for mobile phones, the views are showing 16,400. For computers, 9,300. TVs, 8,200. Tablets, 6,400. Those figures seem quite reasonable, the highest being the mobile phones. That's a view. A view constitutes, I believe, starting to watch the video and you're still there 30 seconds later. That's all a view is. So if it was an hour-long video and you bailed out in, you know, the 31st second, it still counts as a view. So be it. They're all part of the analytics. But then you get on to the watch time. So this is now to do with retention. How long are people hanging around? And on the mobile phones, watch time is 2,100. Watch time on computers, 1,300. Watch time on TVs, 1,900. That's nearly as much watch time as the mobile phones. But the mobile phones were nearly twice as many views. And the watch time on the tablets was 1,100. So people watching on TVs watch for longer. Now again, think about that. You tend to sit down in your comfy armchair and watch the TV, don't you? So you're not going to be there for 30 seconds. You're going to be there for a while. So you're more likely to hang in a video longer. Now, what else is important about that? Most TVs are very large screens nowadays and very, very high quality. So, you know, videos made on a not so good camera on a phone are not going to look that good on a TV screen, are they? Do I need a new camera? And the other bit the stats give is the actual duration. So this is the average length of time for those number of views, if you see what I mean. And mobile phones, the duration is 7 minutes 50 seconds. Computer, 8 minutes 41 seconds. TV, 13 minutes 52 seconds. It's almost twice the duration of the mobile phones. So who should I be recording my videos for? People who use mobile phones? Or people who sit comfortable with a drink or maybe a sandwich and watch some TV? Food for thought. So am I... Oh, look at that goldfinch. I wonder if I can zoom... Oh, the flipping sparrows shoo everyone off. They're just hyper, you know. Anyway, there is a goldfinch around and I'm over the moon. I doubt if you caught a glimpse of that, it was too quick. And you might have done. See, now watching on your big TV screen, you might have been able to see that. Watching on a mobile phone you wouldn't, because it would have been 3 pixels. Anyway, I need to get on with my repotting. I just thought it was important to mention that my statistics, now don't forget, these statistics will be different for every channel, because it depends on the content, it'll depend on the person, you know, the channel subject, you know, whether it's a gaming channel or a sport channel or a hobby channel. The statistics are going to be different for every single channel. But I thought it was important for my channel to understand that I get a longer duration for people watching on TVs, and the watch time for my TV viewers is almost as high as all of my mobile phone viewers added together. Even though my mobile phone viewers, as far as views are concerned, are twice as many as the TVs. Just worth analysing and thinking about what the YouTube algorithm is going to do, you know, with, well, what what I'm going to do to adjust to that. And the only thing I can think of is that it's the quality. Oh, now Hurricane Hector's come on. I'll have to turn that off. Otherwise I'll be soaking wet from the waist down. Sorry about that. See, you know, you have to bear in mind if I go in quite close. You know, now on a phone, first of all, I'm filming landscape. A lot of people would probably be viewing portrait, but some people do turn their phone round sideways. And this humble dendrobium would fill the screen, a mobile phone screen. What's that going to look like on a 50-inch TV? Every little detail would show, wouldn't it? Every single little detail, every dot, every hair, everything. It would fill that huge screen. And to be able to do that and maintain the quality, you've got to have a pretty high resolution. Now, I film, this camera films in HD. That's not high resolution nowadays. It's called high definition. And that, I think, is 1280 by whatever it is, 720. Now, when I got this camera, that was good stuff. That's not so good nowadays. Yeah? I wonder what the camera on my phone is, as in resolution. I don't know. Anyway, just some thoughts on statistics and the way things change round. And it's also, you have to bear in mind, there's probably age involved here. The age of the people watching my channel are going to be in the, like me, getting on a bit. Now, I know there's some youngsters, lots of middle-aged people, I'm sure, but generally speaking, the people watching the Orchid channels tend to be of the older generations. They're more likely to be sitting down watching their telly, aren't they? Yeah? Other than dashing around, you know. The thing is with the mobile phones, they get used for when there's a pause in life. That's anything. You know, like, you go to a post office, you queue up, you're second in the queue. Oh, I'll have a look at my phone then. You know, you're waiting for a bus. Oh, I'll have a look at my phone then. Waiting for your favourite programme to start on the TV. Oh, I'll have a look at my phone then. They get used for different things. You tend to sit down and relax when you're watching TV. And perhaps it's worth thinking about videos ought to be suitable for people who are sitting down and relaxing and probably don't want lots of flashing image and high edit type videos that are, I mean, I watched a video the other day. I don't think any part of that video stayed still for more than 3 seconds. It chopped and changed, the faces, the words flashing on the screen, flipping across to this screen, whizzing up from the bottom. I went cross-eyed after about 30 seconds and I didn't stay. It was all too hyper for me. So, yeah. Anyway, some thoughts. Now I've got some repotting to do, so I'll get me stuff out and get cracking. Okay, on to what I actually came out here to do in the first place, which was a repot. Got sidetracked. This is the last of the Odont types. The two that I bought at from Mather's at the Wisley show won't get repotted until they start new growths, which will be after they're blooming. That could be another month, maybe even 6 weeks, and they may only get potted on. But this is the one I got from my friend Brian, sort of, you know, Cambria, sold as. It's highly likely that it's Masai white or possibly Masai pink, but it distinctly looks like one of the Masai range, which I think that's a trade name anyway. So, but this is the last of those, and if I know Brian, this is in Rockwool. If it's in Rockwool, I need to keep my hands, well, I need to get my hands out of it and get them washed quickly, because that stuff has an adverse effect on my skin. Right, so there's 2 plants in here. Obviously what's happened is a bulb became separated and Brian just stuck it in the same pot to see if it would grow. And it's pushed out a new growth, which didn't look that healthy, but that new growth has now got a root growing. So it is going to grow. So it's worth hanging on to. It's an attractive bloom. Yeah, it is that Rockwool. So this one here, this piece here, oh dear. Well, that's better than I was expecting. That's actually got some reasonable roots. But you're not keeping that Rockwool. One way or the other, that's coming off if I have to cut the roots off. Where are my skizzers? Okay, so this piece here, that's a dead root. We'll have that off. That's half a dead root. So it might branch. It's worth hanging on to see if it will branch. That's half a dead root. And we have our we have our stringy root, which we'll take off. And then we've got this root here, which is the root tip's covered in algae, but it's actually a live root. So this new growth here should grow. There's no reason why it shouldn't. It's got roots. It's got 1, 2, 3, 4 active roots growing. But what I am going to do is put it in a separate pot this time. So that's one piece. Put that down gently. Now, there's a lot of dead roots here. In fact, it's nearly all dead roots. So it's a good job. It's a good job there's a new growth coming, isn't it? Which I believe there is a new growth. Let's have a proper look, shall we? Not there, but the other side. Yes, we do have a new root. And you can see from the other piece that the new roots follow on the new growth quite quickly. So we can get the moss off. There's not a lot of live roots on this piece, I must admit, but it's got quite plump bulbs, so it can look after itself until the new roots come. But what we will do is get rid of the manky old roots, because there's no point in leaving them. It's mainly the centre of the plant, as is often the case. But we'll get rid of those. There aren't many live roots here, so it's just a matter of seeking out the ones that aren't alive. As I said, there aren't too many live ones anyway, but this moss off. Moss around the base of pseudo bulbs is not the best of ideas. because it stays wet. I mean, that's the purpose you often use moss for, stay moist, isn't it? Well, to stay moist around the base of the pseudo bulb is not the best of ideas, because that's where the rot sets in. Huge big bundle of dead ones there. Right, I think that'll do. And what's left are, you've got to go careful, see, because that one is dead from there down. As is that one, as is that one. And sometimes what looks alive isn't. Well, we'll just have to hope that we get some new ones quite soon, because these, even though that one looks okay, it's not. So I'm just testing each one now. No, there's not really much left, is there? Right, so that's what we've got. Not a lot, but we've got some plump bulbs and we've got a new growth starting, which there's enough support in this plant for that new growth to grow on and mature probably without desiccating these bulbs, because they're nice and plump. So we'll let that happen. But in the meantime, it should. There's a nubbin just showing there, so the new roots are about to come. So there we go, that's that. Now that'll have to get bagged up. That certainly can't go in the garden. Yeah. And then I'll sort some pots out, sort some media out, and we'll be back. We'll get these into two separate pots. One of the, the main plant, and then the other one as a back bulb with a new growth to grow on, hopefully. And hopefully it'll take kindly to its repot, because it's going to have some nice new media to go with its nice new roots. This might end up being a better plant than the other one. Certainly got better roots. Right, I'll be back. Right, I think I'm organised. The mix that's there is what's left over from last time. So that's just been tipped out of the bag. I've added a bit more small bark onto it because it won't be enough for 2 pots. And as I've altered the mix and put some more bark in, we'll put some more perlite in as well, just so that the mix is balanced as it was before. And then we'll add our moss. As I say, this is probably one of the last orchids that will get this mix for a while. I've still got 2 oncidiums to do. I've got a giant catatanti that needs it's down to repot because I've never repotted it. But it's in good bark. It doesn't need repotting. It will get repotted as and when I get round to it. And then I've got my 2 little oncidium species that I need to get sorted out, and they're getting done just because their media's old, and they'll probably just go in bark and perlite. So the use of the moss will die right down, but it's done well. I mean, I've still got some mounts to sort out. Very sad this morning when I was watering my mounts. I noticed my nester, my Dendrobium nester, the 2 growths from last year have completely failed. They basically bent over at the base and started to rot. So I've had to take last year's growths off, which only leaves, old tired canes. There's nothing there now. So we certainly won't get any blooms. And if it doesn't shoot out from the base, then it's lost. Just another casualty. Right, and we're just going to sit this very gently on there and put some more media flopped in on top of those roots, not pressed in, flopped in, so just dropped in basically. And then I'll just move it around without moving the plants, because obviously these roots are delicate. The root tips, when they're at this stage, are ideal for repotting, but they will break as easy as anything. They'll break if you look at them too much. So you need to go very careful. So that's why I'm holding the plant still and just manoeuvring that media around those pots. And that's very loose, it's not pressed down or anything. So there's a couple of bits of moss got down in the thing. Right, so we'll let those roots expand and start to fill that pot. And then if that root system really takes off and really starts to fill the pot, then this can be lifted up, gently lifted out, and some more media put underneath and it put back in nearer the top of the pot, because at the moment it's potted very low because I don't want it staying soggy. So that's that one. We don't have to worry so much about the roots on this one because I'm not sure they're alive anyway, so I don't worry so much about these. But I still wouldn't want to break them. And we'll get this one to sit. Some stuff around the back so that I can lean it against the stuff around the back. And that leaves our new growth right in the middle of the pot, which is just where I want it. No air gaps in these types of plants. Make sure you fill all your gaps up. And no need for hard pressing down like there is on some orchids that need to be really firm in the pot. These don't. Just gently firmed to stop it wobbling, and that new growth is sat right on some moss, not in it, on it. So the roots should get straight down in there now. Right, so that's those two done. We'll bag this up again for next time. Because if I'm going to do one that doesn't really need any moss, it just lifts out. You see what I mean? The little bits that are left in there don't matter. It's, you know, it's not it's not that important. Right, so that's those two done. Odont type, sort of. Possibly one of the Maasai ones, but as I said, that's not registered. That's trade names. I'm sure what happens half the time is they do the same cross, and then, you know, they have a look at the seedlings and they pick a good one that's different to the last lot they did and clone it and call it something different. Yeah. Anyway, that's those two done, and they won't need watering today because the moss is damp, but I'll have to keep my eye on them because the bark is dry, as is the perlite. It will take the moisture out of the moss. So these pots will look dry in a day or two, at which point they will be watered properly, but not today because the moss is damp. So I'm just going to see if I can actually settle that in a bit better. It seems a bit wobbly. That's a bit better. Right, there we go. That's another one done that ended up two. Now I don't normally muck about like that, but the fact that that's already started to grow and has got roots, it's worth persevering. It won't bloom on that growth, obviously, but the chances are it might try and bloom on the next growth. And this is where your logic comes in. Which is more important, seeing the blooms or saving the plant and getting a good strong plant that will bloom much better next time? So this gets to grow. The next new growth will get to grow. If it tries to bloom, I'll take the spike off. The third growth is the one where the plant will have the strength to push out a good spike. Right, there we go. See you next time. Sorry we started with the stats, but I just found it very interesting, you know, that that the TV viewers are coming up in the world, in the numbers and the stats. I mean, I remember a couple of years ago probably when I looked, there were hardly any TV viewers. But I suppose with the ability to cast So YouTube does work well on a laptop, on a computer. You've got all the bells and whistles readily to hand. Now on your phone you tend to use the YouTube app, and some of those bells and whistles are missing and you've got a small screen. That's for the convenience of having that screen in your pocket. Yeah? But you know, if you want to see videos in good detail and good definition in your comfort of your armchair, then you tend to go towards the TV, and you can cast a phone to the TV, so you've still got some of the bells and whistles on your phone but you're viewing them on the TV. Or you can just use the YouTube app on the TV, which is naff. You've got no access to info cards, descriptions or anything. All you can do is watch them and use that appalling search facility where you get the alphabet and you have to go dunk 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 D, dunk 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 dunk, yeah, to get each letter to do a search. Naff. Oops, drives me up the wall. Still, that's what there is. TVs weren't designed to be a keyboard, were they? So anyway, tomorrow is back to Project Orchids. We'll be on to Orchid number 3 tomorrow. We've got a bit of a surprise there because that was a repot last time and we split the plant into 2. Can you guess what the surprise is? Not rocket science. Anyway, that's for tomorrow, and I'll see you next time. Thanks for dropping by.